This is the portion of the meeting that we refer to as the open forum. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to bring forward some recommendations or some suggestions for council? Okay. There being none, then we'll start council at 7.
So maybe, Mr. Mayor, here is where we do after the reports of community staff. Maybe we can jump to 14 and 15.
Site plan.
Well, and site plan as well, yes.
Mm-hmm. And 15 is the...
Yes. 15 is just correspondence from the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
14, 15 also.
So
Right?
13, 14, 15. And, you know, the other items, they're just really just replacement
Yeah.
pieces. So, and then the other is just noting there's a deputation now.
Yeah, there's one additional
Right.
reputation.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty straightforward. The 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bylaws, making sure they refer to the replacement ones at 7 and 10.
Mm-hmm. Replaced here.
Yeah.
Page 64. And
Yes. And
we do have a form. Okay. So who do we have that would like to speak? Yes, sir?
It's Doug Cross,
Yes, sir.
running for Council in Ward 2. Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering, are you aware of the election sign placement bylaws in Newmarket?
Yes, I am.
And do you feel that all the signs that have been placed on your behalf are in the correct place?
Those that I discovered were misplaced were recovered this afternoon.
Okay, tremendous. Mr. Spunga, I'd ask you the same question.
Yes. Actually, all those were that unfortunately the volunteers put out without in appropriate places were either removed by bylaws on Saturday evening or early this morning.
Well, there's still one on Bondi Avenue on a public boulevard in incorrect place, and I sent it to your Facebook page and put it to Twitter to Town of Newmarket, so I'm just making you aware of it, but just thought that you guys would be on top of the rules a bit more than
Mr.
everyone else.
Cross, I appreciate your input. As you know, today is it's been a very busy day for regular business of council, and I have not been able to concentrate myself at all on the elections. We had a very important site plan meeting this afternoon, and of course I had to prepare myself for council, but I'm sure that adequate people would have looked at your message, and they will react appropriately.
All right, terrific.
Thank
I
you.
just, people who are on council should be right on message in terms of the rules and everything,
I
so I'd like to
appreciate
see
your
that.
input.
All right,
Thank you.
terrific, thanks, have a good meeting. Sure.
Go ahead,
Just,
Councillor.
can I ask him a question, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. I went out before. My signs are all properly placed. But,
Sure were, yeah.
Just to assure you, Doug, and you did a
It's not working.
Twitter or blog, and under no conditions have I ever used any staff resources during this election.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Shelton, the addendum, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. We do have an addendum before you this evening. So item 1B is an additional deputation regarding a petition with respect to the Glenway West lands. Item 7 is a replacement for bylaw 2014-51, which there's a page replacement dealing with Sundial Homes. Item 10 is replacement of bylaw 2014-54, which is a bylaw that relates to zoning for 212 Davis Drive. And there is a report accompanying that under item 14 that explains the reason for the replacement. Item 13, these are site plan review committee minutes that took place today, and they've been distributed, or they will be distributed when available, and I think they're out now. So you have those minutes for approval. Item 15 is correspondence from Mr. Bill Russell related to the Church of Christ, also tied into 212 Davis Drive. And we also have a closed session placeholder that is identified on page 2A of the agenda, and that deals with the Glenway West lands as well. Any questions as to why these items are before you in the way of an addendum?
Thank you. Turn this off here for a second. This is the same as the,
The one that you
Yep.
have previously, yeah. I gave it to you
And,
earlier only because it helps you with your notes visually.
it does. And actually, the good part about it is that it helps me highlight
Yeah,
here. So that's good.
okay.
So I'll just fold this and,
Yes, I'll take that too.
thank you.
Did you, I don't know if you saw the email, there was a tweet that you had to retweet from the past.
And I did that as soon
Okay.
as I found it.
I just thought that might be
Actually,
easier.
so we have to get our signs, we'd have to get our signs as well shortly after this was tweeted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good, it's helpful. We strive for excellence, we can't afford perfection.
That is true.
Is Mr. Hampton going to be here? Oh, this is where we have to push our buttons too, don't we? Okay.
So you, as I say, you can start right at 7 if you like. Okay?
Is it? Yeah.
Don't have to worry about the camera setup stuff.
It's good to see that we're getting all the candidates out. It's kind of nice that they grace the chamber at least once a year.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them were here at the information meeting that we hosted last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was a good draft on the orientation.
The letter?
Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah.
Yep, and I like it. There are a couple of things that I guess I don't need to
Good evening and welcome to the council meeting in the town of Newmarket on Monday, September 29th, 2014. All members of council are present. Mayor Van Bynen is presiding.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. There are no matters of public notice. We've had the open forum, and we do have additions and corrections to the agenda. The addendum is on page 4. Could I have a motion, please, to adopt those amendments? Councillor Mayo. Second. Councillor Vague. All those in favor? That is carried.
Vote on that.
Yes, let's remember the buttons again. Good. That is carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Being none, there are no listed presentations or recognitions. We do have 2 deputations. The first is Ms. Diane Humanek regarding parks and accessibility. Ms. Humanek? Members of council, I understand that we may need a little more than 5 minutes, so thank you. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Regional Councillor, members of council, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to address you this evening. In 1977, I moved to Newmarket with my family because it really is the best place to live. And in '78, I soon discovered that there were no accessible playgrounds. Now remember, this is 1978. And there was no playgrounds where all kids could play. Those were children that were differently abled as well as children that didn't have any challenges. So having consulted for years with various organizations dealing with children and adults with special needs as well, I really started a quest. And that quest was to research institutional play structures and integrated play as well. So there wouldn't be segregation of the kids who could just play on any type of equipment away from the kids who really needed some modifications so that they could play. I identified some land which the town was absolutely gracious because it was a quagmire actually over behind the old Quaker pool. And we contacted developers because the town said, let's give this a try. Let's partner on this. Let's partner with the community. We put 1,000 truckloads of soil in there, which was good, clean fill from some of the subdivision basements. And I actually sat on my living room floor with a playground designer and with a glue gun and popsicle sticks. And we actually designed one of the first integrated play structures for accessibility and full integration. Now remember, there was no ODA or provincial legislation at that time, but I knew that Newmarket would be proactive and positive and innovative and think outside the box. Whipper Watson joined our team, and I know many of you remember him fondly, and dozens of businesses throughout the town. Even Mrs. Hempen gave us a wonderful donation for that playground. It was all about engagement in play. It was about fundraising. It was about working with the community and bringing people together for a common cause. Children were also asked through the school board, too, what's important to you for all children to play together? And I'll tell you in just a quick second about this book that I wrote for the ministry, but throughout this book, there are pictures of what children's interpretation would be like to have children play in playgrounds together. And there are wheelchairs, and there are walking devices, and there's kids just raising heck and having a lot of fun. So the kids got it. The kids understood about integrated play. Pretty soon a national playground company worked with us and came together, and your town, our Newmarket, was featured in this catalog, which went coast to coast. And you know what they called the playground? And I was so proud. It was called the Newmarket, and here it is. It went coast to coast. I had university students calling who were working on integration in play. This was a whole new concept, and they wanted to know about it. They were writing papers on it. And I could proudly say, this is the Newmarket. Then the Ministry of Tourism and Recreation said, would you write a book about it? So schools and other associations would be able to do the 101 in how to build a playground. And here it is, and it was available right across the country with the Newmarket name on it. And that's what made me extremely happy. So what in honor of the community that got together and made this first playground in 1980 centennial launch, we built a huge structure, and that structure was donated by one of the town's major companies, and all of the community that came together had their name on that plaque. It was inclusive. And at the end of the day, who benefited but the kids? It was wonderful. Then there was a large fire in the Quaker playground, and Recreation decided, before Mr. McDougall's days, of course, without hesitation, why don't we just tear it down? We don't need it. We'll just put typical slides, swings, metal teeter-totters, and we'll completely eliminate those kids with problems. They don't need to play here. Well, they have other places to play. We were back to segregation again in play. Now, I know we didn't have the same ideas then. We weren't AODA. We weren't provincially legislated, but there was enough of us around that were fathers and mothers and grandparents. How could we let that happen? And we did, because when it was all done and over, that's when we were told about it as council. We were told that it was just gone. Not only was it gone, but the tens of thousands of dollars that were raised to put this in and the commemorative plaque, gone. That's not right. That's just not right. 19 years go by, and what do we have now? We have Aurora, who wanted to do a Millennium Project, and they brought our little group down to Aurora, and we built one there, which was wonderful. And then in 2001, I was so mad. We had lost Canada's first integrated play site for all kids. And someday we wouldn't have to say it was for all kids. It would just be done for children, period. So in 2001, we came back. We would build again. In the spirit of equal play, we found a spot down by the office specialty building. And we built another one. We had $400,000 that came from the community all in to put this together. That was really exciting. And we had Home Depot, who brought out dozens of their professionals who knew how to do the construction to work with our staff, to work with the playground, and we engaged the community with hundreds of volunteers. And we even had the dinosaur pit. You go through the sand and you dig for the dinosaur stones. So that was wonderful. And companies that you probably still do work with today, I don't know, but companies like Marshall and Monahan and even the YMCA and the region, all of these organizations came together and they helped to build this with us. Now, over the years, I started going down there when my grandkids were old enough. I had a wonderful time with them down there. I just love being around kids and listening to them play and laugh. And I went down not too long ago, and guess what? It was gone. You tore it down. Now, the Lions built a beautiful playground. I love the Lions. What would a community be without the Lions Club? They're incredible. And they did put special surfacing down, but you take a kid down there with special mobility problems or whatever, they can't play there. There's the odd knob that they can turn, and they can wheel their wheelchair along the surface. And maybe if someone lifts them into one of the larger swings, they can do that. That's it. But what was there is the new stone, the new granite and the new bronze, not paying any tribute whatsoever to those in your community, the businesses you interact with, the neighbors that you live beside that helped put it there. They were all gone. There was no thought about what they had invested for your community. We were expunged again, gone. Totally not acceptable. I mean, I applaud the Lions Club for what they did, but now we can go in and we could do some retrofit, that type of thing. Now, I just want to move forward for a second. I need to state up front that I'm a total animal lover. Love animals, always grown up with animals. My kids have had animals. And for 10 years, this community has waited for a leash-free park. And we're getting it, which is great. The dog owners will be happy. They can socialize. The animals will be happy. They can run and play in a safe area. And whether or not it costs tens of thousands or 100 or 200,000, whatever, with sponsorship and everything, it's going to go in. And that's fine. And I know this is a tough comparison, but bear with me. I've just simply got to say it. What I'm referring to is that dogs, man's best friend in our community, will be able to play and interact, while children with special needs can't participate fully in our parks, and even if they can, it'll be on very limited equipment. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. And I know you don't want that to happen. I know that. Your parents, grandparents, I know that. The College Manor Park is going to be beautiful as I stand there and figure out how kids with special needs are going to use it, but it looks nice. Council has known about accessibility since 1980. I was on this council for 18 years. I hope that I raised some level of awareness on accessibility. I failed, or you wouldn't have taken the second one down. I failed. Kids playing on this equipment for accessibility, kids won't see the difference. Their most important business is play. But kids and their families who have those challenges will know the difference, because now they'll be included. There'll be inclusion, not segregation. So I am here to respectfully ask you as council, this council, and I'll be back to the next council and the next council if I have to. I am asking you not to please don't wait till 2017 in your accessibility plan to start putting some accessible playgrounds in. I want you, if you would, to bring this
I
forward.
have you at 10 minutes now.
Oh, okay,
If you could
thank
wrap
you.
up, please.
I'll
Thank
wrap
you.
it up.
Yep.
I want you to bring this forward to the powers that be. I'm looking forward to meeting with Mr. McDougall on this, to talking about this. And I'm confident that you want all of the kids in this community to play. Regional Councillor Taylor, I'd like you to put a codicil on playgrounds that your organization is donating by having that codicil saying you can build a playground as long as it's accessible. You know, I want you to think about that if you would please, because all kids deserve to play. I want to thank members of council very much for giving me the extra time. I was just a little slower tonight. And I hope that you will take this under consideration, and it's a privilege to come before you this evening.
Thank you. Any questions of clarification? Clarification?
No, not really clear.
Motion then to receive the deputation, please.
So moved.
Councillor Twinney, Councillor Hempel, all those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Maybe before we go on, Mr. Nohammer, if you could just clarify the extent to which we do have AODA available parts.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Just prior to today's meeting, I wanted to get some information together for the benefit of council and the public. So currently there are 52 playgrounds in Newmarket, and gradually the town has been converting them for accessibility reasons to wood chip material rather than sand. And together with that conversion of each playground, there are accessible play pads installed as part of the playground equipment. It depends on the size of the playground equipment, but the town has been doing an admirable job in bringing some of these forward. There are about 18 out of the 52 left to be converted. And at this point in time, we estimate that it will be approximately between 2018 and 2020 that they will all be converted, and that's well ahead of the 2025 AODA compliant date. But there's, if there's additional elements or discussions for improvement, then we'd certainly be willing to work with the community on that.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Twinney?
Thank you. Thank you, Diane, for bringing this forward. I sit on the Accessibility Advisory Committee, so it's something that's important to me to make sure that our town is accessible. And I think that's something that you bring some good thoughts and good ideas, and I'm glad you have. And I think it's something that we can work with our Accessibility Advisory Committee along with our staff to ensure that we do inspections for town facilities, but looking at how we can make playgrounds more accessible, and I think it's a great idea. For example, I've been working with the Glen Cedar Public School and our town staff to implement a new playground at Glen Cedar Public School, and we're doing an online survey. So I think this is a good opportunity, rather than us just going ahead and just putting in a park and then we find a playground. And even as a ward councillor, I find out afterwards it's just been put in and I didn't even realize. So I'm glad that, we're moving to a direction that, allows input from the community. I think they're the ones that use the playground. They should be part of choosing what is going to be done there. So I think moving forward, I think online servers are a great idea, that we can make sure that it's accessible for all kids, so all kids can play together, as you said. And I look forward to working with Accessibility Advisory Committee along with our staff to ensure that moving forward all our playgrounds are something that can be used extensively for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mucho.
Mr. Mayor, through you, actually I have a question to Mr. Nomer. I know you probably didn't have a lot of time to do research because on this, but it was interesting. So 52 playgrounds in Newmarket, and 18 out of 52 are to be converted. And so some of the, I guess, ideas that you would have for accessibility had to do with wood chips instead of sand, and that's great. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that perhaps the deputant was referring more to the actual infrastructure and the equipment of the playgrounds. And, while I do think, I don't know anything about wood chips versus sand, I would imagine that's obviously much more accessible. But I think that perhaps something a little more robust was the intention. And, and I appreciate, we're a democracy. We have to have surveys. You have to get community feedback. But I can tell you, certainly knocking on the doors, that I have absolutely unequivocally heard many residents who have children who suffer from physical disabilities who are very, very upset and concerned because they can't bring their children to play with, I see these playgrounds, and I don't really see a lot of accessibility. We talked about this in council a few weeks ago about the playgrounds and making it a little bit more functional for kids. And I guess I'm concerned that we have to wait so long. I mean, really, to me, it's a no-brainer. Let's make our parks accessible. Let's make them robust. Let's make them put some needs in for all kids and whatever their needs may be. It's a simple thing. So those are my comments. But do you have any plans, though, through you, Mr. Mayor, about addressing it that is more than just the wood chips and
I'm just wondering if this is part of the playbook exercise, and if Mr. McDougall might be the appropriate person to respond to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I was going to mention that the community is currently going through a very robust community engagement process as part of a recreation master plan that's being dubbed the Recreation Playbook. And one of the exciting things ongoing right now is the community engagement phase, which is really all about gaining insights and input from the community in terms of some of the needs, both on a programming perspective, but also on a physical amenity and an infrastructure perspective. So we will be continuing that exercise, and at the culmination of the Recreation Playbook process, which is due to come forward in Q1 of 15, we will be looking to really have very specific direction in terms of some of the infrastructure that the community is seeking. And so the engagement process is ongoing, and so this is very timely for that, and we'll be sure to include playground planning as part of that process.
Good, thank you. Councillor Kerwin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. It would be absolutely remiss of me not to recognize Councillor Humanick, Regional Councillor Humanick, for the work that she did on playgrounds on the 18 years that she sat on Newmarket Council. Diane, you set an exemplary standard, and I compliment you. It was a pleasure always working with you, and in that field you were my mentor, to be perfectly honest about it. I'm happy to say that I started to raise this issue recently with Ian McDougall and the new Commissioner, Peter Neuhammer, and Mark Agnuletto, that when we retrofit any playground equipment, that there must be consultation with all residents who come out to a meeting to look at the retrofit for those parks, be it Arnhem Park or Dudok Park or the Fairgrounds or College Manor or any of the other parks throughout the town. And I'm happy to say that Ian reported that's going to happen. So on a positive note, we're listening, And I know that we will move forward, and I know that you will make sure that we move forward. So thank you, and thank you to our staff for listening to this a few months ago.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda then is a deputation from Mr. John Blumenstein. Mr. Blumenstein? Oh, before we go forward, if everybody could vote. Done. Okay, the electronic vote is complete. Go ahead, Mr. Blumenstein.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, I'm here to present a petition regarding a request to make a memorandum public that was discussed at the Committee of the Whole on September 22nd. So this petition came out, this memorandum was discussed last week, and we understand that it has to do with the Glenway West lands, but we know no other details as far as what's contained within that memorandum. So I've went around the neighborhood and got signatures from 47 individuals who live within what could be classified as Glenway West that would like to know more detail regarding that, particularly in light of there's an impending election that's coming within the next 27 days. So I don't know who I would provide that to.
If you provide that to the clerk.
Thank you.
We'll put that into the record. Any other comments? Any questions, clarification? Councillor Emanuel?
I was just going to make a motion to receive.
Okay.
I know that, Mr. Mayor, I think we should clarify, because there was the addition to the agenda at the beginning. This will be discussed later, as well as I certainly support the memorandum being released to the public, but I know that there's a in-camera portion, and then we'll deal with that after that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. So motion to receive.
So motion to receive.
Councillor Emanuel, seconded by Councillor Demuccio. All those in favor? Is carried. Thank you. Remember the buttons. Councillor Hanford? Okay, good. Thank you. Next item is the council minutes of September the 8th. And I just wanted to clarify that in these minutes, if we go to page number 9, item number 20, I believe, should be corrected. It indicates that the Economic Development Advisory Committee minutes of July 21st regarding the Gigabit Corridor draft report be received and the following recommendations be adopted. And I believe it should read that the following recommendations be received. And if I recall correctly, we did receive that knowing that the municipality was going to go ahead. So I would see that as an administrative correction. So could I have a motion then to approve these minutes as corrected? Councillor Emanuel, seconded by Councillor Spunk. Okay, you can speak to him after you second it. With the minutes?
The minutes are up for ratification, but I did declare a conflict in that. I was under the impression we're just ratifying the council on minutes. And
Okay, the only vote that we're taking here at this point, Joe, is that
the correction?
the accuracy of the minutes.
As long as, can I get some clarification
Sure.
from the clerk?
Mr. Clerk, just to explain your concern.
I believe there was an item, and I believe it's item number 30 within the minutes, or it was in respect to recommendations from Heritage New Market. And I did declare a conflict, Committee of the Whole, and subsequently at Council, and did not take part in the discussion, as our home is designated under the Ontario Heritage Act. My understanding of this will just ratifying the minutes, but not necessarily all the items.
Anyway, I'll leave it to the clerk. My understanding is that the fact that you did not take part in the discussions is noted in the minutes, and so the vote here is that the minutes are accurate.
Okay, thank you.
With subject to the correction that we have.
Thank you.
Any other corrections to the minutes? All those in favor then? That is carried. Correspondence, petitions. We do have some correspondence from the Executive Director of Learning Disabilities Association of Ontario, of York Region. The recommendations are for the proclamation. Could I have a motion, please, with respect to those recommendations? Councillor Sponga, Councillor Hempin. All those in favor? And that is carried. Next item is the Committee of the Whole minutes of September 22nd. Are there any items that members wish to deal with separately? Councillor DiMuccio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to pull out item 18.
Item number 18. Just to clarify, yes, we are dealing with committee reports. Before we do that, I did miss the regional representatives. Regional reports, let's go with that, John, and then we'll come back to the Committee of the Whole.
Thanks very much. I'll try to be quick just to keep things moving. At the last York Region Council meeting, there was a number of things that were dealt with. The annual transit plan was approved, and there was also a Waste Reduction Week was recognized. Part of Waste Reduction Week recognition also included documenting and recognizing that York Region is now up to diverting 87% of all waste from landfill, which is probably one of the best records in Canada, if not in North America. And they continue to move other programs forward in this area. And also just thought I should let people know, if they're curious, that the next regional council meeting will involve the current members, the current regional council, and is on November the 13th. And following that, on December 11th, there is the first meeting of the new council, which is the inaugural or inauguration meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now over to the Committee of the Whole minutes of September 22nd. Councillor DiMuccio has requested item number 18 be dealt with separately. Any other items? Regional Councillor?
31.
Any other items? Can I have a motion then, please, to adopt the balance of the items? Councillor Begg, Councillor Sponga. All those in favor? That is carried. Item number 18. Moved by Buttons. Councillor Twinney. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sponga. Okay, speaking to item number 18, Councillor DiMuccio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Joe was the seconder.
This motion is to move several years ago, when I first started council, I was approached by somebody on the Canadian Coalition of Municipalities Against Racism and Discrimination. And they had approached me because I sat on the Inclusivity Committee, and they wanted to put, have Newmarket as one of the municipalities of many in York Region who have adopted a fantastic action plan to address and to speak out against racism and discrimination. And I'm very happy. It took 4 years, but the town is moving that tonight and accepting it, and I think it's a wonderful thing for the town. And, you know, I believe this is posted on our website. Is that correct, Mr. Clerk? So that's great. I encourage residents to look at the plan and to encourage others to do the same. Thank you very much. This is a positive step.
Thank you. Councillor Sponga is the seconder.
Yeah, briefly. I remember Mr. Gregorian many years ago trying to push this item and speaking to many members of council and the community about this issue, and I've always appreciated his efforts. And it's great to see this recommendation in front of us. But having said that, I also recognize the incredible efforts that have been made by the Inclusivity Committee that has realized and recognized the differences in the new face of Newmarket and has been working very actively towards the type of recommendations that are in front of us today. I want to thank those members of council and the volunteers that took part of that in the last 4 years as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor? And that's carried. Next item is the Committee of the Whole closed session of September 22nd. Okay. Let's deal with item number 31.
You're not avoiding me, are you? No, just kidding.
No.
The item 31, for those in the audience who are following this online, was regards to the sign bylaw in relation to Davis Drive.
I made a request last meeting, and council endorsed a request to ask staff to look at the feasibility of not enforcing time restriction in relation to the sign bylaws. So if you're limited to a certain period of time to put a sign of one nature or another out on Davis, that staff consider waiving that for the duration of the construction. Largely, we have those limitations for aesthetic reasons, because obviously your town doesn't look that great if there's just signs everywhere 12 months of the year. Having said that, as I said last meeting, Davis Drive is certainly heavily under construction and couldn't be accused of looking great anyway. And so waiving that concern and giving the businesses the ability to advertise more as requested by some of the business directly to myself and I believe other members of council. So I just wanted to follow up through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff and ask if they had investigated this to see if there's any concerns with the direction that was proposed.
And that would be our director?
No, I think it's closer.
Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the regional councillor. Yes, we have informally met and discussed this as a group. We don't see any concern with the request. We will follow up as asked by council with the information report. The only consideration, of course, is an area where a sign might be placed which might compromise safety or create a distraction. But other than that, we don't see any concerns.
Okay. Thank you very much. Then the other part of the discussion we had then would be asking that if staff could include in an update to council shortly the communication plan in relation to this, so that when this will be released as an official position, and then how we'll be communicating with the businesses of Davis Drive, and then obviously social media, et cetera, to try to push that out to make sure all the businesses know they can take advantage of that leniency. So we'll get that information, I would assume, sometime relatively soon.
That could be a direction to staff.
Yep.
You might want to
I'll move it.
Move it, and can I have a seconder, please? Second. Councillor Twinney. Okay. Do you want to speak further as the mover? Councillor Twinney as the seconder. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now we'll go to the Committee of the Whole, September 22nd. Closed minutes. Can I have a motion to adopt those minutes, please?
I'd like to pull item 2.
We'll be dealing with each item separately. First, we'll vote on the accuracy of the minutes. Councillor Sponga, seconded by Councillor Kerwin. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So the minutes cover 3 items. The first item is with respect to the proposed disposition of land by the municipality in Ward 3. So could I please have a motion that the Office of the Chief Administration Officer and Corporate Services Legal Services Joint Closed Session Report dated 2014-2, dated September 22nd, regarding the conveyance of land in Ward 3 to the Regional Municipality of York be received, and that staff proceed as directed. Councillor Hempin, Councillor Twinney. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. The second item relates to the potential acquisition of land by the municipality in Ward 5. I would ask for a motion that the Chief Administration Officer and the Corporate Services Legal Services Joint Closed Session Report number 2014-23, dated September 22nd, regarding the acquisition of property in Ward 5 be received, and that the recommendations in the Chief Administration Officer Corporate Services Joint Closed Session Report be adopted. Councillor Sponga, Councillor Hempin. All those in favor? Opposed? Opposed? And that carries. The third item is with respect to litigation before the Ontario Municipal Board with regards to 536 and 550 Mulock Court. So could I have a motion, please, that the Corporate Services, Legal Services Closed Session Report number 2014-24, dated September 26th, regarding the appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board from a decision of council to deny applications for the official plan and zoning bylaw amendments be received, and that the recommendations in the Corporate Services Closed Session Report be adopted?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Veigh. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, this is where we might do a little bit of logistical gymnastics. Under reports to committee and staff, I'd like to go forward to item number 13, which is the Site Plan Review Committee of September 29th.
Second.
Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Sponga. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Okay. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah,
Certainly. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it was a very lengthy site plan committee this afternoon in regards to this item, and I appreciate the effort of committee and dealing with this item. I just want to reiterate an issue that I had raised, and just as direction to staff, Mr. Nohammer, I received subsequent to committee to site plan review committee a note from our director of engineering, and that we're still seeking some comments in respect to the low impact development treatment of the pavement from the Conservation Authority, and I just want to ensure that that is taken into consideration. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy with the minutes as they stand.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? All those in favor? That is carried. We'll also now go on to items number 14. Sorry. Oh, any opposed? None opposed. Next item then is item number 14 and item number 15. Item number 14 and 15 relate to 212 Davis Drive. And item number 14 is the Planning Department's report concerning 212 Davis Drive. And item number 15 is correspondence relative to that as well.
Move the recommendations, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sponga, is there a seconder? I'll second that. Okay, that's for both of those items because all related. Okay. Any discussion with respect to those items?
No, Mr.
All those in favor then? None opposed, and that is carried. Okay, now back to the regular agenda. Bylaws. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw 2014-50 is a bylaw to appoint a building inspector for the town of Newmarket. Bylaw 2014-51 is a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw. And of course, that was, sorry.
Okay, that's right. I just wanted to remind members of council that those two were replaced by subsequent pieces. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that was replaced in the addendum. Bylaw 2014-52 is also a zoning bylaw amendment, and that relates to the Mosaic Glenway Homes, Inc. Bylaw 2014-53 is a bylaw to provide an exemption to the noise bylaw. And bylaw 2014-54 is also a zoning bylaw amendment, and that again was replaced in the addendum.
Can I have a motion with respect to the bylaws? Councillor Sponga, Councillor Emanuel. Does anyone wish to any of these bylaws to be dealt with separately? All those in favor? There's none opposed, and that is carried. Are there any notices of motion? Okay. Being none, then we'll go to announcements and community events. Councillor Veigh?
Thank you. With all this beautiful weather we're having, of course, makes everyone think of the Newmarket Santa Claus Parade. Well, the Newmarket Santa Claus Parade takes place on Saturday, November 15th. and the parade will be starting at 11 a.m. at the corner of Lorne Avenue and Eagle Street, and proceed east on Eagle Street and north to Main Street. Please note that due to the construction on Davis Drive, much like last year, the parade will end at Simcoe Street. The Santa Claus Parade Committee is now accepting float applications, and the applications are available online at www.newmarket.ca until November 4th. The committee is also looking for high school students and adult volunteers to fill clown and character costumes for the 2014 parade. And as a reminder for high school students, these hours that you're involved do count towards your volunteer hours for graduation. For further information, please contact Rhonda at 905-895-5193, extension 2655. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerwin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Saturday, November the 1st, bring your jack-o'-lantern and let the Halloween spirit live for one more night at Newmarket Riverwalk Commons, which is located at 200 Doug Duncan Drive, from 6 to 7:30. Bring the whole family, check out the pumpkin masterpieces, and enjoy some hot apple cider and cookies sponsored by the Pickle Barrel, and the admission is free. And boy, is the Riverwalk Commons, has that area of public space ever been used since we created it, Mr. Mayor. Also, over the weekend, it'll be September 25th, 26th, and 27th, the Seniors Center had their open house, and it was a colossal success. And something really new is happening at the seniors meeting place since it's reopened. And even before that, under the guidance of Kathleen Willems and her staff and the staff there, and that is the link-in between the retirement homes, and I have all 5 of them in Ward 2, and that is the Chartwell Group and Alexander Muir and the Barton Home. They sponsored one day, and that was the Saturday, and Amica picked up the sponsorship of the Sunday, and Friday night was sponsored by a retirement home in Richmond Hill. So what is happening is that all the retirement homes are linked in now to the seniors meeting place, and that would be at Renessa. All residents there have been given a pass to the seniors meeting place. That's just fantastic. As I said, that AMIC has sponsored events, the Chartwell Group, which is Alexander Muir and the Barton Home on Leslie Street, and pleased to announce that the Roxborough Retirement Home on Davis Drive has also come in, and they will be sponsoring events in the future. And this has really happened because of the staff initiative. So we can really be proud that the seniors meeting place and the retirement homes within Newmarket are really doing things for the seniors, and we can be proud of a new vision for that that facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Twinney.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's right. On Saturday, October 4th, the fire station at 984 Gorham Street will hold an open house from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in conjunction with Fire Prevention Week. Visitors will be treated to morning coffee, donuts, and a barbecue lunch. So come out and enjoy fire safety games, vehicle rescue demonstrations, rides on the Tim Horton Express train, fire trucks, the fire safety wheel, arts and crafts, Sparky the fire dog, and much more. Donations will be accepted at the open house, and proceeds will go to the South Lake Regional Health Center Foundation. For more information on this event, please call 905-895-9222. And one more item, it's not really a community announcement, but I would be amiss if I didn't say happy birthday to my son today, who turns 10.
Thank you. Regional Councillor.
Thanks very much. As I think most residents are aware, over the course of the summer, the town's installed LED lights throughout Newmarket. This program is part of an upgrade that involves energy savings, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and reducing costs and improving visibility. In fact, we've seen, just in terms of electricity cost reduction, of $300,000 annual savings from this program. Having said that, there are, and received a number of compliments on the retrofit, but certainly a couple of people have raised with me, depending on how your house is situated, you might be getting some of the light. It can be a bit brighter in some circumstances coming into your house. So you can contact the town at 895-5193, and there is light guards that can be installed where it's identified that it is impacting your home. And I think it's important that we get that word out there as widely as possible. Also, I just want to identify and remind people this the 5th annual Tom Taylor Trail 10 miler is on October the 5th, Sunday, and it's in George Richardson Park. The funds raised from this event, 5 years running now, goes to In From the Cold at 510 Penrose. It's a hub for the homeless or at risk. And if you'd like to participate or be involved in any way, just visit www.4 the letter T and then miler.ca, 4tmiler.ca. And finally, I'd just like to point out that there's a new awards event in the area. And this event is put on by CHATS, or Community and Home Assistance to Seniors, and it recognizes outstanding volunteers over the age of 60. And I just want to mention now that Maureen Houseman's Joan Pelham, Erica Kerwin, and Judy Craig, I think many of you will know all of them, who've done a great deal of volunteering, will be recognized at that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hennepin.
Thank you. Join us for a night of outdoor discovery and adventure at the Newmarket Riverwalk Commons on October 28th. Come out and enjoy Creepy Crawler, an educational and interactive animal, reptile, and insect show from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. In the case of inclement weather, the event will be held inside the Newmarket Community Center and Lions Hall, and admission is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smaga.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to make an announcement on behalf of the North Newmarket Lions. And on November 1st at the Community Center, I believe, 200 Doug Duncan, the Lions is hosting the Harvest Dinner and Dance to benefit the children of Camp Kirk. It's a wonderful camp that the Lions have supported for many, many decades. For more information, I would ask you please to call my good friend, the Vice President of Communication for the North Newmarket Lions, Mr. Brad Snell, at 905-868-9621. Also, the town of Newmarket is holding, and this gives me great pleasure, Mr. Mayor, to announce as the chair of the Newmarket Food Pantry, that the town of Newmarket is holding a Thanksgiving food drive on October 4th. Please bring a perishable food item and skate, play, swim, or run for free at the Ray Twiney Recreation Complex at 100 Eagle Street West and the Magna Center at 800 Mulock Drive. All donations will go towards filling the shelves of the Newmarket Food Pantry. And I can tell you we really need that help. And donations of non-perishable food items are also being accepted at the municipal offices right here in the lobby, at Ray Twiney Recreation Complex, at the Magna Center from October 1st to October 10th. And for more information, please call 905-895-5193. And also I'll take this opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to announce another very important day for the less fortunate in our community and the ones most in need. Is October 17th, the town of Newmarket will be celebrating the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. And my good friend Tom Pearson has been involved in organizing this for many, many, many years. And so for more information, please email Tom Pearson or tpearson61@rogers.com. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Mucho.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. As Councillor Kerwin mentioned, the wonderful and new improved seniors meeting place with an exciting future wants you to know that it's offering a fall prevention program every Wednesday and Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Senior Center, which is located at 474 Davis Drive. Now, this program is free for everybody, and it's available to all seniors who are at risk of falling. So if you know any seniors in your life or loved ones, or if you're a senior, please call for more information. And the number for that would be 905-953-5325. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a reminder to residents that the Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame honors individuals and teams from Newmarket who have achieved honor and recognition through sport. And on Sunday, November 16th, the Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame will welcome 3 new inductees in the athletes category: Diane McLeod, Norman Randall-Legg, and the Newmarket United 94 girls Rep A soccer team. That's a great event at the Magna Center. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Please be advised that the municipal offices at 395 Mulock will be closed on Thanksgiving Monday, October the 13th, and that our next council meeting will be Monday, November the 17th at 7 p.m., and the inaugural council meeting for the 2014-2018 term is on Monday, December the 1st. I'd like to congratulate all of the candidates in their decision to stand for office. It's good that our community has the opportunity to express their views and their perspectives and to make choices that the candidates offer. It's an important part of the democratic process. And I want to thank members of council for the productive term of office that we have and for each one of you and the contributions that you've made to our community over the last 4 years. As well as I'd like to express my appreciation to staff who's worked very hard in making Newmarket even better. New business. Councillor DiMuccio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a question, I know that we are going to be going to closed session after new business, and I know that the closed session has to do with the memorandum that was confidential for the Glen Wade Westlands. We also come out of public closed session, and then closed session, and then come back into council. But I wanted to make sure that because people here, and we certainly had a deputation on that memorandum, if when we come back, that we can discuss publicly what the outcome, if any outcome, was of that memorandum. Is that
That would be
fair?
the intent.
Thank you.
Okay. I would need a motion then, because we don't want to. Have we dealt with the other stuff? Okay. A motion then to go into a private session. Councillor Sponga, Councillor Hempen. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. It might be best that we. Yep, I think we'll go to the Mulock room rather than ask everyone to move. Okay. That motion is carried, so we'll withdraw and go into the Mulock room. If staff would join us, we'll come back here.
Do the residents understand that? Did you make that clear?
Yeah. Yeah, I just said that.
I didn't know if you had your microphone or not.
Oh, yeah. I'll turn off my mic. 9:20 now. I'll call the meeting to order once again. Council has met in a closed session, and we're now back in public session. And I will call on Councillor Emanuel to put forward a motion arising out of the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think for clarity, it's going to be placed on the screen. And that staff be directed to prepare a public information report to include the CAO's confidential information memorandum or report dated, that should be memorandum, I think, not report, dated September 5th, 2014, to provide context around Council's closed session deliberations relative to the Glenway lands, and that public notice be provided, including the petitioners where possible.
Just a matter of clarification, the confidential information report or confidential memorandum dated September 5th, in its entirety, I thought was.
Well, because it's being included, it's, yeah.
Okay.
The complete memorandum that covered the old report will be provided incomplete.
Okay, a seconder for that? It's moved by Councillor Emanuel, seconded by Councillor Twinney. Okay. Councillor Emanuel, speaking to the recommendation.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think this, we heard from the deputy, but I've also heard from a number of residents. As residents will see, I think it's also clear that this will be distributed by Friday. I think that was just staff direction to, it gives time for the contextual report to be placed around it, because while the memorandum, I think residents will appreciate this, the memorandum captures one item, there's other items that we also want the CAO to speak to, I think, which provides broader context and provides a bit more information to the residents. So not only are we providing the memorandum from September 5th, but also a bit more information from the CAO as well. And I think members of council feel it appropriate to provide contextual information as well as a bit more information for residents.
Okay, Councillor Twinney has the seconder. Okay. Comments, Councillor DiMuccio?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a big win for residents of Glenway. The reality is council members here have had this memo for 1 month, September 5th, and it would have remained confidential had I not made it an issue in the last council meeting and asked staff and council to make sure that residents are aware of anything that we discuss when it comes to Glenway. The reality is Glenway has been a very difficult issue this term. It's been contentious. We've had, there's a lot of mistrust in the community, I believe. I certainly know because I have helped a candidate knock on doors there. And so I think that it's important that we come, that we're very open about any memos that go out. That certainly have to do with their communities and their neighborhoods. So I think this is a big win for council, and I'm very glad that you know, we all decided to make this open, and I look forward to letting the public know what that memo says. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Emanuel.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to provide a bit of context, too. I think transparency. One, information. I respect that Councillor DiMuccio feels that she's responsible for this, but information like this comes out as a matter of the due course. So that's important to note. But because your husband, the candidate in Ward 7, was knocking on doors about this confidential memorandum is partly why we're discussing this as well. And I think all of us believe in transparency. And so I think it's also to point out that your husband was the one making the deputation as well. But I think residents will appreciate seeing this memorandum. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor DiMuccio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to address those comments from the Councillor Emanuel. Yes, that's another win actually for Ward 7 taxpayers, because my husband, who is a candidate in Ward 7, did go around with a petition. He's not even an elected member of council, but he did go around with a petition to make sure that members of Glenway were aware that there was a confidential memo. And again, I'd like to reiterate that is a very big win for those residents tonight, because they will now learn what that confidential memo stated. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Regional Councillor.
Thanks very much. I guess I think I just want to talk a little bit generically to the topic about confidential reports or memos. This is provided through legislation by the province of Ontario. Every municipality has confidential memos and confidential reports. This is an absolute necessary tool in protecting the interests of residents in our communities. We have often conversations or negotiations or litigation or decisions that sharing them publicly would harm the residents' interests in a financial way and in other ways. So as a brief example, if we're talking about going to the OMB or purchasing a piece of land, these are two examples, just like you potentially selling your home, you wouldn't invite in all of the other real estate agents to hear you tell your real estate agent what your lowest offer would be you would accept. You would keep some things confidential because that is in the best interest of yourself financially. And we do that exact process for the residents of Newmarket. And I'll tell you, we can have this rush and this political clamoring to try to get to, hyper-transparency. And people can say what they want and go online and Twitter and mock, but the fact is that's the best interest of the residents will always be how I, for one person, I believe this council will act. And we're not just going to abandon those principles or the interests of residents because of the noise that's going on at the moment of time that we're in at this right time right now. And so, yes, we're providing a memorandum, but we're providing in a contextualized format so people can know in a broader sense some considerations, and they can understand on a broader sense. But at the end of the day, there will be still some matters that we simply can't and will not disclose because it is not in the best interest of residents. And I think it's very important that we discuss that and that people understand that principle and that there are elected officials willing to stand by that principle. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mucho.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While I certainly appreciate the comments that Regional Councillor made, I think at the end of the day, again, this is a win, and I think that it will be up to the citizens and the residents to decide whether this was something that should have been withheld or should not have been, made public. It's like I said, it was a confidential memo, and it was not. There was no intention to make it public until I made the matter aware in a public session in council last week. So, when it comes to hyper transparency, I don't think, once this memo is released, it'll be up to the public to decide if withholding that information was actually hyper transparent. And those are important things because I think it's important, and I said this before, that when it comes to in-camera items, it's very important that the public understand that there is nothing withholding council to make those things public. In fact, it is a decision. It's a personal decision of this council. It is not something that legislation requires. There are cities, I think Windsor is one of them, who actually does make these things all public, and they're moving away, if not already have moved away from in-camera meetings. So that is a personal decision that a council makes collectively. And I've always been on the record that we need to be very public about everything we do. I think that is the best way to run government, and some people might call that hyper-transparent, but I think that is the only way to run a council where we are tasked with citizens' taxes and the decisions we make with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Regional Councillor.
Thanks. I think it's important to point out that and it was mentioned earlier by Councillor Manuel, but in-camera discussions go through a process, and most of them eventually, if not all of them eventually, come out of camera, and you go through a process and it takes time. And staff review it and they report back to us on how to bring something or to bring it out in its entirety or partially or at what point and what stage. So to suggest this would have never come out of camera, I think is probably...
no. Tell me what your point of order is.
I did not say that nothing comes out of out of an in-camera meeting. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, I'm
worried about the regional council.
Order. Please, order, please.
I'm speaking to my point of order, Mr. Mayor.
And I'm saying you're suggesting the regional councillor said something that I don't think I heard him say.
No. I didn't finish what I was saying because you interrupted. What I was saying is I don't want the public to think that when we have in-camera meetings that everything that happens in camera becomes public, because that's not true. And I want the public to know that we come out of in-camera and we vote on our decisions, but we do not allow the public to know what those conversations were or what the direction is. And I think that's a very important that's a distinction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was my point of order.
I don't think the point of order was not a point of order. It was making a statement that I don't think I heard. Therefore,
anyway,
continue, Mr. Taylor.
And just to conclude, I think that it's important to understand the process. And my point is that these things go through a due course, and we've dealt with something perhaps a little quicker than we would have, which is fine. But there is a process that we go through for these things, and the vast majority come out entirely or partially into the public domain. And to point to other communities that may have partially or fully or are thinking about disclosing everything, I would point out that all members of this council have voted dozens and dozens of times to deal with things in camera and to go into camera. So if one's goal is to never do that, then I would suggest you shouldn't vote to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I think it's appropriate to call the question, unless there are any further comments from other members of council. And all those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Thank you. Confirmatory bylaw, I believe, is the only thing. Councillor Manuel, Councillor Sponga. All those in favor? That is carried. Councillor Manuel, Councillor Begg. All those in favor? Oh, we need to, we're Councillor Kerwin and Councillor Hempin, we're still looking for the electronic vote. David, electronic vote on the confirmatory bylaw. Okay, don't go away. We've got one more vote on the. That was Councillor Manuel and Councillor Begg. All those in favor? That is carried. We're adjourned.